Holla, holla, holla. Coming to you live from a Chevy Impala. We're back. And it's Judgment Day, my friends. Thank you for joining. If you're looking at the card now, you can see there is a trend afoot, my friends. And it's not just great matches. It's not just great matchups. It is Fatal 4-Way Day on Judgment Day. The four horsemen of the apocalypse have arrived, and they come bearing gifts. Let's jump right into the action with the pre-show match. Brainbusters versus the Bulldogs. And they started off just as you would expect. Limited time, merely 10 minutes on the pre-show. Just wanted to keep some underlying tag matches going. Obviously, the Brainbusters and the Bulldogs are two of the better in-ring talents we have. However, the tag title picture is pretty crowded right now. There's a lot of stuff going on. But the Bulldogs get a win here, and perhaps this will set them up in the future to take a spot if one is to open up, on the next pay-per-view or a pay-per-view in the near future. Then we move on. Magnum is in action against Volkov, and clearly here, Volkov has not been used consistently since we had the Russians tag team doing some work where him and Nikita won those tag belts. Again, Magnum, we're just slowly feeding him. He seems like he's about ready to get into a major storyline. It's just looking for the right opponent, really, to get a feud started. And I liked some of the stories that I had going so far. So I've just been sticking with the natural progression of things rather than inserting him too quickly, so to speak. Then we go to the beginning of the show here. And Warrior does not do great on the opening segment. Here he calls out Rude, who, if you do recall, they had a match in the past. Rude kind of cheated his way to victory, and then Rude basically tried to goad him into a match. I think he still, despite beating Warrior, feels insecure around him. Someone who prides himself on being the best body in the WWF, I think, looks at the Warrior and, feels insecure about it and wants to make sure the fans know that he truly is the ravishing one and the Warrior is not in his league. But we will get to that match after the women's title is put on the line. And here we have AJ Kong and Bull Nakano go to a non-contest with each other. Right here, I want to plant the seeds that Kong and Nakano are the two absolute monsters in this division. There is now competition in town. Bull had basically been the top dog. As far as in-ring work, Jackie Sato has always been the top girl. I think she just came in with crazy popularity and has the in-ring skills to back it up. Been trying to get Bull to kind of overtake her. Not that I want Jackie to fall so much as I want Bull to be on that same level. But Bull is super young. Kong is even younger. I think she's not even an adult in the simulation right now. But my goal right now is to really build those two up. Everyone in this match is going to be integral in this women's division moving forward. And here we get a little bit, little nibble, little taste of what the future holds in store. Then we're on to that Warrior Rude match. And again, they really pull it out. Warrior gets perhaps one of his biggest wins on pay-per-view here against Rude, who starting to establish himself as someone who could easily be a mainstay for pay-per-view feuds and matches moving forward. Once you can consistently get those mid-80s, which I believe, lest I be mistaken, he has been doing as of the last 2 or 3 pay-per-views, man, that makes you really easy to book. Especially right now, we're kind of in it's not so much a rebuilding stage, but an evolution. We cut a lot of fat, and now we're trying to pad the roster with some new faces, some up-and-comers. We definitely have a lot of those. You're going to be seeing a few big names definitely within the next 6 months, and some definitely sooner rather than later. 2 huge names, depending on your style, obviously. Maybe some international stars in the mix. Nonetheless, be on the lookout for that moving forward. I don't want to spoil, but they will not be making their debut tonight. But again, be on the lookout for that, because there are definitely some huge names. Shawn Michaels is one of those names. However, he is in rehab for the next 5 months. So hopefully we'll get to see him, at some point clean and have a good run. But definitely 2 names that I am very much looking forward to debuting on this roster. But also ton of guys that I'm just trying to really build up. I have kind of my own system for, having them climb up the ranks. And so it'll take a little bit of time, but I think it'll be worth it in the long run. Here we have Perfect and Race. They're going to cut a promo because tag titles are on the line, and they are in the mix. They think they have the best shot, considering they are a part of the $1 Million corporation, the $1 Million Inc., $1 Million Incorporated, rather. Same, but different, but still same. And they go right into action here as we have a tremendous tag title match. Everyone is just hitting it on all cylinders. This is perhaps the best I have ever seen the tag division look since I started booking it. And having, Perfect and Race in the mix as well, definitely helping things. Even though, their tag average is probably, not the highest, but the Road Warriors, they brought their A game, and the Fabulous Freebirds certainly brought their A game as well. Moving forward, I'm not sure exactly where I'm going to go with this one. We've been building the Fabulous Freebirds up for quite a while now because they have been delivering. Even in retrospect, despite the fact that, we've had these players, basically all of these players involved in like the last, I would say maybe 4 or 5 title matches. Fabulous Freebirds undoubtedly have probably had the best performances throughout that run. So here, while I was tempted to perhaps give the title to someone else just to prolong the story, felt like the right move to have the Freebirds stay over, keep their momentum. So where do we go from here? Not sure. We'll have to figure that out moving forward. But the Fabulous Freebirds certainly look like they're on top of the world. And man, Hawk is definitely killing it. Animal is he's picking it up as well. Tag division looks as good as it ever has. Next, we got a segment, and Bret the Hitman Hart makes an open challenge, and the previously injured Ricky the Dragon Steamboat comes out to answer. He has been off of TV, off of pay-per-views ever since Roddy Piper seemingly broke the leg of Steamboat. You know, he gimmicked it up with a steel chair and stomped right on it. It seemed like he was going to be out for quite a while, but Judgment Day, he decides to make his stand and call out, or rather answer the call out of Bret, sort of as a way to let the fans know, like, hey, not only am I ready, I'm back in a big way, and expect Steamboat to be someone who really brings it from here on out. I think after Piper did that, it's going to give him the edge that he really desperately needed. I mean, he's definitely had his successes in the WWF, but this could potentially give him that the mentality that, you know, it could end at any minute, and just allow him to have that extra gear to do, you know, what he wasn't capable of doing before. And here they have a pretty good match here. I'm not really disappointed. Bret gets the big win over Ricky the Dragon. That's a huge victory for him, and definitely his injured leg definitely played a factor into that. And this will be Bret's big win moving forward. And I have to be full disclosure here, ladies and gents. I truly thought that I had booked Ricky Steamboat to win. That's kind of why I was talking about the match leading up to it in this fashion. But now that I see the result, I remember Piper, you know, obviously injured the leg, so he came in before he was truly ready to be taking, you know, part in wrestling competition. Came back sooner than he should have, and paid the price against one of the blossoming young talents of the WWF. And the sharpshooter will, you know, take your leg out, especially if it's injured, 9 times out of 10. This is a huge win for Bret the Hitman Hart, no doubt about that. Definitely a big letdown for Steamboat supporters, but trust me, he will be coming back stronger once he is truly injury-free. Then we have Jake the Snake cutting a promo before our IC title Fatal 4-Way. Obviously, him and Adonis have had a long feud. Adonis has been basically, you know, retaining the title, but not through victory, but rather countouts and DQs. Tonight, he's gonna have to win. He's gonna have to get the pinfall if he wants to retain. Jake knows that his odds are just about as bad, if not worse, than when he was facing Adonis, who had the champion's advantage, and he's got a very tough lineup to go up against, as Adonis will have to defend against Jake, obviously, Tito Santana, and Misawa in this match. And let's go right to the action. Bam! One of our best matches yet, and the young gun, he didn't have the best in-ring performance, but he is coming out of this one smelling like daisies, because Michiru Misawa wins the IC title with a Tiger Driver, and we are putting our young stars over in a big way on this pay-per-view. I mean, this could arguably be said as a bigger win than Bret's win over Ricky Steamboat in singles competition. Misawa wins his first title in the WWF, beats Tito by pinfall. Jake and Adonis both come out empty-handed, And this is definitely not so much the passing of the torch, but the lighting of the torch. Because Adonis is definitely going to be coming out of this hot. Jake obviously still over. And Tito is definitely, I mean, I've said this again and again and again. He is, if there was a rock solid performer award, it would be Tito. You know, he's like a goose. Everything, you know, it can be raining outside, but it's gonna roll right off his back. But again, huge victory for Misawa. As I expected, a tremendous match. Super happy that it panned out. Jake was obviously slightly upset. In fact, he was extremely upset with this. For good reason. Misawa isn't quite as over as him, and Jake is definitely one of our top, maybe even top 3 baby faces right now. I mean, I think he probably edges out Steamboat. It would be close. We're going to have to see where this goes moving on from here. I definitely think there's a lot more questions than answers after this match, and that was kind of the goal coming out of this match. Next, we have Vinnie Mac announcing to the crowd that we have a number 1 contenders match. I mean, after that IC title match, you're probably thinking to yourself, how can we top it? Oh, the co-main event definitely does not disappoint. We are getting a rematch of the King of the Ring final. Sting, Vader, let's jump right into it. Again, you know, fairly solid performance here. I believe this was the same rating that we had at King of the Ring. But here, Sting gets a victory over Vader. Vader beat him at King of the Ring. And with no interference, Sting is able to pull it out. So now the record is tied at 1-1. Recently, at least. I mean, I believe they actually faced at WrestleMania 4 as well, and Sting won that. So he is leading the series. Probably, and I can say definitely long term, this will not be the last we see of Sting and Vader, but Sting becomes the number 1 contender for that heavyweight title, and that is going to be absolutely huge. But now we get to find out who Sting might be facing down the line. Savage, the current champion, cuts a promo. And again, just to kind of backtrack a little bit, you know, Vader and Sting, they have been definitely super hot. They're both ready, without a doubt. And even despite the fact that their rating, you know, wasn't great, they are at that really good spot to where they have a ton of guys who are super established that they can work with on the top of the card. So, you know, while they're getting fully over, you know, we can slowly build them and give them a taste of that main event again and again and again. And, you know, in 2-3 years' time, I really think that the likes of Sting, Vader, Brett, Misawa, Rude, you could throw in there. Those 5 guys are probably going to be just super over. Probably just as good as the roster we have now. But, you know, just this whole roster is absolutely just outstanding. You know, from top to bottom, really just great. Really good depth. And when I have 4 Fatal 4-Way matches, and even the matches in between those Fatal 4-Way matches are Sting and Vader, like if that's one of the matches filling it, you know, I think it just speaks volumes as to how good this roster is. Without further ado, Savage cuts a promo. His opponents for this Fatal 4 matchup are as follows: Hulk Hogan, Ted DiBiase, and Roddy Piper. And we'll jump to that match. And we have Randy Savage make defense number 7 of his World Heavyweight title And it was an exceptional match. And Savage wins by defeating Piper by submission after a distraction from Ricky the Dragon Steamboat. Definitely some controversy coming out of this match, ladies and gentlemen. All four competitors knocked it out of the park. Hulk Hogan leading the charge. Roddy not too far behind. Neither is Savage. Neither is DiBiase. Everyone really elevated this match. 95 main event. Can't argue with that. Definitely happy with it, in fact. And I feel like this is definitely a special event to where, you know, it would get the people going. You know what I'm saying? Definitely a huge main event there. Did not disappoint. And a huge storyline coming out of it, being as though Steamboat and Piper have been going back and forth for so long, and it looks like the Dragon has got the last laugh coming out of Judgment Day. Savage retains, and his buddy Hogan seemingly gets, screwed in that it wasn't a true finish because, another person was involved in the match. Definitely a lot of claims to be made coming out of this one. There's going to be some unhappy campers, but definitely not Savage because he gets to spend another day with the gold. Let's see what the pay-per-view rating is. 94. Look, can't complain. Pretty good. Felt like it was very, very solid, without a doubt. And, that's just something that has been happening thanks in part to how great this roster is. Even the opener, really good match. And that's usually the case where it's very solid, rarely dips below a 70. And in the women's division, I think eventually we can get the women's division to be very, very good. But I got essentially all the outcomes that I wanted coming out of this, and definitely can tell where I'm going to be going with most of the stories. The tag division is definitely something that I'm going to have to really think hard so that the next step I make is meaningful. So it's really up in the air with that. But the IC title division, I definitely know where I want to go. Heavyweight title division, definitely know where I want to go. And then as far as co-main events and upper mid-card, I definitely have some visions, some entertaining prospects, and I'm definitely very excited about it. Again, thank you for stopping by. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you on the flippity floop.